So we've just taken delivery of some of the new 2018 Specialized bikes. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at one of the first ones we've got here and basically talk you through the bike and all of its component parts to it. So let's go and have a little go at unboxing it, shall we? So we get all the bikes delivered to us in these big boxes. So effectively the bikes come completely built for us, which is a really handy thing for us. So it means we can get out and start riding pretty quickly. If you get a bike from Specialized, obviously you'll get it through a bike shop. So again, it should be completely built for you. So you shouldn't really have to do any construction or building yourself at home. As I said, it should all be done for you. So let's move it down. Get this out. So this is the new 2018 Stumpjumper. It's the Comp Carbon version, and this is the 27.5-inch specific model as well. One thing to know about the Stumpjumper range is each model actually comes in two different versions. So one with a 27.5-inch wheel size, and then one that's a 29er and 27.5 plus version as well, that they call the 6 Fatty. So let's talk about the first thing you notice as soon as you pull out the bike from the box, and that's this paint job. It's pretty neat, isn't it? So we've got a purple to blue fade on the top and on the graphics, and then the rest of it, even though it looks black, it's actually just carbon. If you look closely at this frame, what you can actually see is the unidirectional carbon, and then it's a clear lacquer over the top of it. So it's, as I said, it's a carbon front end. And then Specialized on the Comp version, it comes with an aluminium back end. This is the M5 aluminium alloy. So frame wise, in terms of the aesthetic, it's a bike that looks right, isn't it? It's just a very sleek looking machine, and the way the carbon swoops around over the shock here is particularly gorgeous in my opinion. But then obviously aesthetics is a bit of a personal taste. For me, this is a bike that just looks like it wants to be ridden fast. So let's talk you through what you get with this particular model. So the Stumpjumper is 150mm of travel, front and rear, on the 27.5-inch version. So up front, we've got a RockShox Revelation RL fork. Got the usual adjustments on here, including the charger damper as well. Slightly lower down the range than the Pike, but as a trail fork, it's a really good option. This is mated then to a RockShox rear shock. Specialized do things slightly differently. This isn't a normal RockShox Monarch. What you have on here is a Specialized collaboration that actually has an auto sag setting. So there are actually two different air valves on here. Pump up the shock as you would do normally to set your sag, but then you press the other valve and it will automatically regulate the air pressure to actually set up for your riding weight. So it's a pretty neat system to actually get you out and on the trails as quickly as possible. The good thing is it doesn't interfere with your ability to tune the shock though, so you can still adjust volume spacers and do everything you can do to change the way the bike actually rides or the way the shock actually sort of performs on there. So that's a really sort of nice, neat option on there. There is obviously a lock, so for those sort of smoother trails, super simple to use. Components wise, SRAM obviously rule the roost on the Stumpjumper carbon here. So what we have is a GX group set. Now this isn't GX Eagle, this is an 11-speed group set, so it's a slightly lower down the scale than the Eagle that you would find on a more expensive version of this, like the Expert, which is one up from here, but it's still a really sort of high-performing group set. Going away from the normal sort of full group set approach, Specialized actually spec race face for their chain sets. So this is the Affect, it's an aluminium chain set, and this is running on a press fit bottom bracket. So Specialized are one of those brands that are still banging the drum for press fits. Obviously it has its issues, but it's a very simple system to actually maintain and to replace bearings. So obviously for this time being, that's what they're sticking with. 32 tooth on there, which should sort of combine nicely with the cassette on the back to actually give you sort of a nice range of gears as well to get you through everything. So bringing the bike to a halt, we've got SRAM guide brakes. So we've got 4-pot pistons on here to provide a huge amount of power, and going on what type of riding the bike is going to be suited for, we've got a 200mm rotor on the front and a 180 on the rear, so super powerful braking for all environments. Wheels come from Roval, So Roval are Specialized wheel sort of brands. You've got some really nice matching graphics on here. I know it's a really small touch, but it's something that really ties the whole bike together. It's a 35mm outside diameter rim, 30mm inside diameter, so works really well with what's now the new norm almost in terms of a semi plus tyre. So this is a 2.6 inch tyre, which seems to be the way that a lot of trail bikes are starting to go. In terms of the tyres themselves, we've got the new Butcher Grid. So the Grid version of the Butcher is the more puncture protection version. So we've got thicker sidewalls on here, and these are now the Gripton compound. So it's Specialized new compound, which is a little bit softer, a little bit grippier as well, and apparently there's less rolling resistance. So it should be a really good all-round tyre. The rest of the components is Specialized. So Specialized, we've got a 780mm bar, a really nice, neat, short stem. Still not as short as on spec on some other brands. It's one of the things that sort of we do find with Specialized, they tend to put sort of slightly longer stems than may be necessary. Obviously the bike comes with a dropper post, and this is Specialized's own command post. It's internal cables, so it's that stealth routing. And sitting on top of that, then we have a nice and comfy Henge saddle. So the Henge is a really suitable saddle for all types of riding. And obviously we can't talk about a Stumpjumper without talking about Swat. So this is something that Specialized sort of started a few seasons ago, and slowly loads of brands are starting to cotton on. And that's all about carrying as much of your kit on the bike as possible. So SWAT stands for Storage, Water and Tools. So there are different little things on this bike that allow you to do that. First and foremost, we've got this section of the bike here. So attached to the bottle cage, we have a really cool little neat multi-tool. So it's really useful as well because Specialized actually have Allen key bolted axles both front and rear, so at least you've got a tool to be able to take your wheels out at all times. So you've got everything you need on there, so all of the Allen keys, torques, everything that could effectively take the bike apart. But what's super neat about the Stumpjumper is the Swat Box. So you might have heard of this before, you might have seen it, but it still is something that is a pretty genius idea really. As you know, you've got a massive hollow carbon structure here. So all of this is open inside. And what Specialized have done is they've effectively cut a big hole in it. So you can pop this little bit off on here, and then this little hatch that's got the bottle cage actually just pops off. And then inside, you can store loads of stuff. So you can store your inner tubes, you can store your pump, you can store your sandwiches. I know people that store their jackets in there as well. It's just a real super neat idea of actually getting everything onto the bike. So effectively all of your spares are with you on every ride, and you can ride without a pack as well, which makes things really super comfy as well. So that's an amazing idea that Specialized came up with, and so far they do still seem to be pretty unique in terms of doing that. One of the things that doesn't come with this particular model, but does on the next models up, is they also have a little chain tool that fits inside your steerer tube. So that again is another real neat option for adding more tools onto your bike on that. And as I said, for most riding, it's a real good idea. Other simple but very neat features on the frame. We've got a bolt-on chain guard here. So it's a nice rubberized chain guard. Now, rather than that being stuck on, and as you know, most of those tend to sort of fall off over time, especially if you wash your bike, this has got two little bolts holding on, so it means you can replace that when it needs to be done, but it will always stay on. And there's another nice big rubber bumper underneath here as well, so protecting that down tube from rock strikes and damage to this delicate carbon. So let's talk about the suspension a little bit more. So Specialized have stuck with the FSR design with the Stumpjumper again. So whereas the Epic has gone to a single pivot rear end to save weight, this is stuck to that sort of 4-bar linkage design. So we've got steel bearings everywhere. So maintenance wise, it's a frame and a design that should sort of last quite a long time before you need to replace bearings. And we've got the really nice, neat cast Manfu link on here and the direct mount on the shock itself. Now, whereas the Epic and the Enduro have had slight revamps or complete revamps this year, the Stumpjumper for 2018 is effectively staying the same frame, so nothing massively has changed over last year. Geometry-wise, we do have a few little tweaks. It's a 67-degree head angle, 74-degree seat angle on here, so still relatively steep for a 150mm travel bike. We're normally expecting to see 66 degrees, that sort of thing there for bikes of this type. In terms of the actual bottom bracket, so the height on the bottom bracket is around about 340, so it's relatively high for a 27.5-inch wheel. The Stumpjumper 6 Fatty, so that 29 and 650 plus version, comes with a slightly lower bottom bracket height, but it only runs a 135mm travel rear end, so that's why we have a few differences on there. So price-wise, the Stumpjumper Comp Carbon comes in at £3,500. So this is the starting point for the carbon range. There are aluminium versions of this bike that come in at a slightly lower price on here. Now, once we go past the Comp, you have the Expert and then the S-Works, both of which come with a slightly higher grade of carbon. So this is the Fact 9M carbon. The others come with an 11M carbon, so it's, sort of, as I said, slightly sort of higher quality on there. And the other good news is, depending on which wheel size you go for, so the 27.5 or the 29, they're both exactly the same price. So there you have it. There's a really, really quick rundown of the new Specialized Stumpjumper Comp Carbon for 2018. So we've obviously got this bike in for testing, so look forward to seeing that online and in the magazine over the next coming months. If there's any other bikes you'd like to see us unbox and go through, please let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.